Welcome to the kitchen this morning. This is Judith Garten, and I am here this morning to introduce you to two of my absolute favorite cookbooks in the whole wide world. I have owned these cookbooks since the 1980s. I believe I owned the first one since right around the time it was first published. I'm not positive on that, but I love these books. They are fantastic. The first one is called, let me show you. It is, let's get the glare off of it. Make a Mix Cookery. Now this one is funny. It was so well used and well loved. I lost the cover to it. It just completely got destroyed because I was using this so much. So last night I was online trying to find the cover, and I was going to print a new cover for myself. And I was worried that it was going to use up all of the ink in the printer. And instead it printed up just a small version. So this is the Make a Mix Cookery. This is volume 1, and if you look for it online, it has these lovely cinnamon breads on it. Okay, the second one I love, love, love is more Make a Mix Cookery. Both of these books are authored by Corrine Eliason, Nevada Harward, and Madeline Westover. Now they do have a new version of the Make a Mix Cookery cookbooks where they've combined the two, and there are a lot of wonderful recipes in that volume also. I find personally I really like these older versions for simple fact that there are some recipes I've become accustomed to over the years that are not available in the newer version of the cookbook. So I definitely love these older versions. If you could, I would suggest you go online. I saw them last night on abebooks.com, on amazon.com, and there was another website, and I forgot to bring that to here to share with you. That is, I think it was Thrift Books or something like that. But all you need to do is go onto Google and search for the More Make a Mix Cookery books or the Make a Mix Cookery books, and they will come up. You can get them now in really great condition, anywhere from $2 to around $10, depending on availability. So I've not bothered to replace mine because I'm going to show you what I did. I took both of my cookbooks and I just went ahead and I stuck them in a big binder. I broke the bindings apart because they were pretty much destroyed anyway, and I put them into, let me show you again. It's kind of heavy. Into plastic sheets. So both of my cookbooks are now, oh, there we go, very well protected. Now, what do I use my Make a Mix cookbooks for? A lot of things. There are spice recipes in these cookbooks where you can make your own taco mixes, just like the ones you would buy in the grocery store. Italian seasonings, just like you would use to make Italian dressings. There are fantastic recipes in here for baking mixes, which are wonderful. But one of my favorites, and I've talked to a lot of sisters about these, are the slice and bake cookies. This is what we're going to be making today. I don't know if you can see that well enough because it's kind of bright and glary. These are the slice and bake molasses ginger cookies. There's a nice picture of those down here. Oh, I keep trying to move it into the, there you go. And I will show you from beginning to end how I go ahead and I even wrap them up and stick them in the freezer. So I have all the ingredients already pre-measured, and I'm going to show you how I mix those up. They also, here's a beautiful photo of what happens when you bake the slice and bake cookies. They are wonderful. I've talked on my Facebook page about the slice and bake oatmeal cookies, which are really flexible. I have put dried cranberries and walnuts in those, raisins, or just plain oatmeal cookies. You can also make chocolate wafer cookies, which are wonderful. And I spoke recently about the slice and bake peanut butter cookies, which we have some of those in the freezer right now as well. All right, so we will press forward and mix up our cookies. First, I am going to add the butter, which I have been softening all morning. That goes into my KitchenAid mixer bowl right here. Great. Next, I'm going to add the sugar. Now, the recipe calls for, and yes, I will include the recipe with credit to the ladies who invented the recipes in the information below. I don't use brown sugar, although it calls for brown sugar. I tend to just use regular organic sugar. And then I add just a touch extra molasses. I'm doing half the recipe in this one because there's only 2 of us. I don't want that many cookies laying around. We are trying to stay healthy. And I put the molasses in there as well. Now I'm going to pause for a minute and I'm going to go over to the corner where my KitchenAid is because it's loud and noisy. I will be right back. Now, as you can see, I've creamed the molasses, the sugar, and the butter nicely together. Now this recipe does not have any eggs, so we didn't need to add those. I am going to mix in just a little bit of water because it does call for a little bit of water. The rest of this will be hand mixed. I have here the flour that we need to add along with the baking powder and salt. We have just a little bit of allspice, some cinnamon. I ran out of cloves, so these are going to be minus the cloves this time, unfortunately. And then ginger. Now the recipe only calls for, I think it was a teaspoon. When I'm halving the recipe, it calls for about a teaspoon of ginger, but we like our ginger cookies really pungent and lots of gingery, nice smell in the house. So this is actually about a tablespoon, so it's a lot of ginger. And then I will just really quickly mix all of that together in the dry ingredients bowl. These are so simple to make and so fast and so wonderful to have a nice variety in the freezer so that anytime you have the munchies or want some cookies, they're right there to make. So I'm mixing that in. I think I took that accidentally out of the screen of the video. There we go. Put our dirty dishes aside. Now I mix this up by hand. I may need to put it on the mixer with just a little bit of time on the mixer. We'll see. I also am making these gluten-free by using a cup for cup gluten-free flour. And these are definitely going to need just a little bit more water. And I'm going to pop over to the mixer for a few minutes. Now you want the dough to be very soft and pliable and moldable. You actually want it to be a little bit moist, maybe a touch sticky, because as you do freeze things, they do dry out a little bit, and you don't want dry cookies when it comes to slice and bake. Now, what you're going to do next is, some people use plastic wrap, some foil. I prefer crinkly parchment paper. I'm thinking we're probably only going to get 3 rolls of cookies out of this batch. Let me see what we get. So I'm cutting 2 pieces of parchment paper right here. And then I will split this dough into 3 so that, yes, we can bake some today. Actually, I'm not sure whether I'll bake them today or tomorrow, because tomorrow, it is Thursday today, so tomorrow will be Shabbat, starting in the evening, so we might bake them for the evening, because I had planned on making banana bread today, as well as some ice cream, so we'll see where we go. All right. And move my bowl out of the way. I'll hold this up so that you can see. I have divided it into 3 somewhat even rolls for cookies. And I will, actually I'm going to need a 3rd piece of parchment to keep a small piece, to be able to keep a piece of dough in the refrigerator to chill. So we're going to cut another piece, which is not a problem because although I have a fourth piece handy, I will save that in my parchment for my banana bread later, and we'll put that in the pan so that does not burn to the bottom and that it is easy to remove. So there we go, all that crinkling that I'm doing. And we will set aside the one for later. Keep rolling my sleeves up. Now what you do is you mold the dough. You want to press it tightly, because if you don't press it tightly, it may dry out a little bit in the middle, believe it or not. And as you pull them out, when you go to slice, they will crumble. You don't want that to happen. You want to shape it and form it into a cylinder like so. Then you take your cookie dough, you roll it up in your parchment paper like this, and I will have 2 of these rolls ready to go into a Ziploc bag in the freezer. Molding the second one here. I think I mentioned these are gluten-free. I use a cup for cup gluten-free flour. This recipe works great for whichever is your favorite cup for cup baking flour, gluten-free baking flour. These cookies are going to be wonderful if we ever get any more snowy days. They go great with coffee in the mornings on snowy days, especially when there's a fire in the fireplace. And there you go. 2 rolls of cookies ready to go in the freezer. Now what you'll want to make sure you do is grab a zipper bag and label what kind of cookies are in your bag. I have left that off a few times. There you go. These are ginger. I will stick these in the bottom of the bag. Lay them flat in your freezer. I'll show you how in just a moment. Squeeze out all the air you possibly can. And lay them flat in your freezer like so. That way they will freeze nicely in their little cylindrical shape, and you can slice and bake. I will try and do a little bit of a slice and bake with some stills to show you how they slice and bake a little bit later when I bake up our third ball, either later or tomorrow. And I will share that with you in this video also. I want to thank you for joining me in the kitchen today. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at torahforwomen.com using the contact page, or also leave it in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and remember to turn on the notifications so that you'll see the next videos as they come up. We're going to be doing a lot of new ones, and I'm excited about all the different things. Thank you for joining us at Torah for Women's Mountain Moments. These are the prepper portions. Shalom.